Take two. Guys, welcome back to the channel. This is your girl Love. I am back with another video, and today's focus is all about candles. I wanted to do a video on why I started doing candles, because I didn't want it to be like one of those videos where it's like, oh, it's COVID, I needed to do a hobby or a project, and so I just decided to start making candles. No, my story is a little bit different in that I really always had a thing about candles, and so I was just trying to figure out where I wanted to be in the candle world. I wanted to do designer inspired candles. So if, as you guys know, I've done several perfume videos over here on the channel. If you guys are not one of my subscribers, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. So I wanted to do a video about specifically why I started a candle company, what was my thought process behind it, and kind of how it fits into who I am and what it is that I wanted to achieve as a brand. And so over here on the channel, we talk a lot about fragrances. If you guys are into fragrances, please make sure that you check out my fragrance videos. I have several of them listed, and I will put a couple of my favorite ones in the description box below. But I wanted to make designer inspired candles. I just didn't want to go off and just try to mimic and do a lot of candles that other people were doing. I also don't believe in spending $60, $70, $80, or $100 for a designer candle when honestly they don't have to cost that much, and you don't get that much life out of them for the reason of them being designers. So I decided to start my own designer inspired candles based off of some of my favorite fragrances, and that really is like the premise behind the brand. So this is our medium size candle. And so medium being that it's only 10 ounces. And I kind of wanted to just walk you through the process of like starting a candle company, and then, or starting a candle brand, and then kind of what that entails. And I think that what I'm going to do as I do the journey, and as we talk about the journey, is I'm going to do a video kind of step by step on different things, because it took a lot of research just to get like the first candle to be as good as it is. So whether or not it was me choosing wicks or the wax or the containers, the fragrance oils, there's a lot of research that goes into doing candles, and I just really wanted to start with like a base video and then kind of weave through and guide you guys step by step on the journey. And then maybe perhaps this might be something that you want to do. If it's not, maybe something that you want to share with someone else who's into it. So let's get into the story. So if you guys have not noticed, especially in 2020, now moving into 2021, a lot of brands have started to put out home lines. So whether or not it is because we're spending more time in our homes, and because we're kind of loving our homes a little bit more than usual, we're paying a little bit more attention to things that we normally wouldn't. So just think about how many candles you've purchased from when we started COVID versus how many candles or before COVID versus how many candles you have now. So when you go to like a Marshall's, TJ Maxx, you go to Ross or anywhere like that, Home Sense, to get candles, a lot of those candles are candles that did not make the main candle run, meaning that a company that is selling, they're irregulars. So a company who's selling candles, there was something defective about the candle that kind of just didn't make the production line, and so they just offset those candles to like jobbers, and they end up in like a Marshall's, TJ Maxx, wherever. So most of those candles are slightly defective, and it could be anything. It could be literally the smallest thing, whether it was a crack in the glass, or the wick was they didn't like the wicks, or it didn't burn right, or the weight was off. Like really something very basic is how a candle ends up there. So when you go to a design house to get candles, you're paying for the brand name. Like we all know that everything now is way more expensive. People are trying to funnel money into products that will make money. So whether or not it's small goods, whether or not it's home goods, but you know, something disposable, that's generally right now like where the market is going. So I wanted candles, and I wanted my candles to be an extension of my love of fragrances, and so I wanted to be able to bring that into the home at a cost-effective, something that was a little bit more cost-effective than the designer version, and at some point, you know, build the brand and the lineup from there. So that's really kind of how that helicopter loud. Ooh. So that's really where I got where the thought process behind me doing candles came from. So that was kind of part of like the premise of the brand. So here's what the research is. So if you're thinking about doing a candle company, if you're thinking about putting candles as an extension of what your brand is it something that you want to launch, I really wanted to kind of walk you slowly but surely through like the process. Again, this is just the first video of why I wanted to do candles, how it fits in my branding, and some things for you to think about. And then what we'll do is we'll do videos and we'll break those things down. So here's where I would start. I would start with why. Like why you want to do candles. Because that'll help you determine kind of which road you're going to go to do it. So is it just going to be a hobby? Is it going to be something that you want to turn into a bigger brand? Like figure out your why. The second thing I'm going to tell you is that you got to start to do your research. You are going to do so much research and over research and there's so much information out there. It's almost extremely overwhelming. So you want to think about what your candle looks like. I would start by putting together a vision board. A vision board around what you want your candles to look like, what the label looks like, what the containers look like, what your budget might be. Like when I say budget, think about what the end goal is. What do you want your candles to sell for? I want to be in the $50 candle range. I want to be in the mid range between $20 and $40. Or do you want to do something that is $20 and lower? So if you're thinking about doing more budget friendly candles, then what is that going to look like? That'll help you determine what your materials are going to be. So once you've unpacked and brain dumped all your ideas and you've gotten that part out, because take a few days to do that. Don't just rush because you want to hurry up and do things. Take your time, brain dump all of your ideas, start to make a Pinterest board based off of what you want, what your vision is around the candles, and then narrow it down to what it is you want specifically. Then get into like your business branding. Before you even start doing any of the candle things, if you do the business branding on the back side of it, you are going to be super frustrated because you have all of this stuff and now you got to spend days doing all of the baseline prep work, which is in your business branding. So when I say business branding, what am I talking about? I'm talking about what colors you're going to use for your candles. Like what's important to you. Are you going to offer different sizes and in different colors? What kind of font do you want to use for your business? Where are you going to sell your candles? Are you going to do an individual website? Are you going to sell on Etsy? Are you just going to be an Instagram company? Like what does that look like? What does the base part of your business look like? What does that look like? And then decide like what that platform is. So the last thing that you need to decide is your platform. So do all your business branding. What's the name going to be? Is it already a name out there? How are you going to protect your name? All the legalities that need to happen with candles, like what your labels are going to look like, what your warning labels are going to look like. Just all of that information, whether or not you want to do environmental friendly candles, like what's going to be your tagline, what's going to be all the things that wrap around into your business. And again, I will do an individual video as we just start to take this these candle videos further. I will do videos to unpack all of those things. I'm just giving you I'm giving you a beginning start because these are all the things that I did in the beginning. The two things that are going to drive you totally insane, that you are going to have to spend money on. I'm going to tell you right now that testing and getting the ingredients you need for your candles is not cheap. You have got to test wax against wicks. Okay, so the two W's, wax against wicks. Certain wicks work better with certain candles in certain containers. So the magic formula in candles is wax plus wick plus the candle container. That is the magic formula. Tins burn different than glass. Regular glass burns different than dark coated glass. So it's just so many different variations to all of it. So you really have to test and test and test and test. And the thing is this, everybody says the same thing about testing. I would say this, fall in love with the candle container first and then figure out how to make the candle container work. Because if you fall in love with the wax, which is what I did, I fell in love with a wax first, and then I had to fall in love with a container, and I still am kind of testing the containers. It's almost like a never-ending process. So fall in love with a container that you want first. The first container that represents your brand, and try not to vary out from that too much. Get that one thing right, and then move on to the next thing. So now we've talked about branding, we talked about wax, we've talked about wicks. You've got to research your containers. Now let's get into the main ingredient, which is your fragrance oils. I order from several companies. You're going to need to order several different kinds of fragrance oils. You have to figure out which flavors are going to merge well that represent your brand. So you've got to do research. Go out, smell, get the base scents for what's in candles that are at TJ Maxx, Marshalls, Ross, Home Sense, like all the main discounters. Go smell the candles, take pictures of the ingredients. Do you like things that are more woodsy? Do you want to do fruity fragrances? You've got to figure out where you want to be. And so generally what happens in candles is that once you've got your niche, then you can branch out to do other things. Hone in and focus on your niche first. So if I decided to do designer inspired candles, I based my decision of designer inspired candles based off of the fragrances that I have, I know, and I love, and I'm building from there. So it was important for me to find fragrances that was extremely close. So I want to be within the 95th to 99th percentile of how close I want to be in the 95th to the 99th percentile and how close a fragrance the oil smells against the natural. Oh, I can't get my sentence together. What's my sentence? I want to be in the 95th to 99th percentile of how close a fragrance oil smells to the actual individual fragrance, the actual designer fragrance. And so that takes a lot of research. Sometimes the same companies sell the exact same fragrance oil. You need to order it from several companies to make sure that you get as close as you possibly can. And that was what I needed because I sell designer inspired candles. My favorite candle, which is the one we lit in the beginning, is Black Opium. Now, of course, I just put another word in here. So this candle for me is called Black as Opium. I just kind of played on the words with this one. This is probably the most direct representative of a designer candle that I have in my collection. But I started off with 5 female scents and 5 male scents. I researched the top 5 in each category, but for women I kind of already knew what I wanted to do. For men, I researched the top 10 male fragrances out there, and I did a representation of a candle based off of that. So I did 5. My introduction into the market is 5 female candles and 5 male candles. So my first candle is Black as Opium. My second candle is a representation of Carolina Herrera's Good Girl. Ooh, you are just really not focusing today. But it's called Good Girl Gets It All, and so this is based off of Carolina Herrera's original scent, Good Girl. I know that there are other flankers with it, but this is the original scent, Good Girl. My third candle is Life is Beautiful, which is a designer representation, a designer inspired representation of La Vie Belle from Lancome. My fourth designer inspired candle is All Things That Bloom Are Fab, and so this is based off of Gucci's Bloom. And then my last medium candle is Now and Forever Balm. So I have literally not ventured into producing my large candles yet. Why? Because I wanted to get this one right. So it took a lot of wick variations to get this particular candle container the way that I wanted, with the burn time that I wanted. So that's what I'm talking about. Like, it's going to be a lot in getting your wick, your wax, and your container to merge together with your fragrance oil to form a happy marriage. And so that is where I would start. So as we decide, and I don't want this video to be too long, as we decide to like break down candles, to go through the process with you, I think that it'll be such a fun journey. I just wanted to show you where I started from, why I started a candle company, and just to give you a base of where to start. if you have thoughts about starting a candle company, if you know someone that's going to start a candle company. I just wanted to brain dump a little bit and just help other people out, because there are a lot of videos out there. I must have watched 100 videos before I even made the first candle, and it was just a lot of information, and I want to try to maybe even save you from ordering too many things. So we'll start to do like some, it's like if you have a candle container and if you have like a wick that you want to try, whether or not it will work, how to order wicks. Like, we're going to break down and just kind of go on this journey together. If you guys have any comments or questions, please put them in the comments section below. I will respond to as many as I can. If you guys have a video that you would like for me to shoot and go through a topic specifically, make sure you put that in the comment section below as well. I will link all of my candles in the description box below, and just so that you guys can test them out and just let me know what you think. So that is it for me for this first video. I can't wait to go on this candle journey with you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Peace.